Good morning students, welcome back to English class. So we were in the lesson number 3 from Snapshot, Ranga's marriage. Till now we have seen that this is an interesting take on the story of marriage by Masti Venkatesha Iyengar. In this story, the narrator tells us about a interesting incident from his life. It is about the village of Hosahali. In that village, there was a boy whose name was Ranga. The special thing about the boy is that he is the first one to go to Bangalore to learn English. Thus, upon returning, the narrator as well as the villagers wishes to see him. They feel that Ranga would now be changed. But he doesn't go through any changes. The narrator decides to marry off Ranga to a suitable girl. So we learn about how the marriage arrangement happens and what all takes place in that duration. It is an interesting story about the marriage and villagers' lives. So Ranga is a boy living in the village of Hosavali in Mysore. He goes to Bangalore to receive English medium education. Upon returning to the village, all the villagers flood to his place to notice any change in the boy. However, to their disappointment, Ranga is the same as he was before. He even greeted everyone with a namaskar and thus everyone left. The village of Hosahali is a nice village with very good mangoes, and Hosahali is a small village in which not even that famous. After the village leave the Ranga's house, the narrator stays back at his place to talk with him. Thus he started talking. The narrator thought that it would be a good idea to find a suitable girl for Ranga is not thinking of marriage yet now, just yet, and wishes to marry to only a mature and admirable girl. Thus, the narrator decides that he will surely get Ranga married. He feels that Ratna would be a perfect match for Ranga. Ratna belongs to a very big town and is an expert in playing musical instruments like veena and harmonium. Thus, he decided to call Ratna deliberately when Ranga was visiting. Upon seeing Ratna, she mesmerizes Ranga. However, the narrator plays a game and lies to Ranga that she is married. This disappoints Ranga as he starts liking her. As per narrator's plan, he takes Ranga to an astrologer. Ranga has already made arrangement with astrologer and everything was pre-planned. So the astrologer asks questions to Ranga which helps him admit that the fact that he likes Ratna. The problem of her marriage was at the head. Nonetheless, the astrologer tells Ranga that he is in love with a girl whose name resembles Ratna. Upon hearing this, Ranga gets very happy but sad again because she is not available. So we will continue from here till previous video. We have seen the story here till here. Now we will see what happened next. Now take out your paraphernalia, our Rangappa seems to have something on his mind. Can you tell us what is worrying him? Shall we put your silence of astrology to the test? There was authority in my voice as I spoke to Shastri. He took out 2 sheets of paper, some cowries, and a book of palmyra leaves, saying, "Ours is an ancient science. Ayya, there is a story to it, but I won't tell you that story now. There is not a harikatha which allows you to tell a story within a story. You might get bored. I will tell it to you some other time." So, children, paraphernalia means trapping associated with a particular institution or activity that are considered as superfluous. I repeat, paraphernalia means trapping associated with a particular institution or activity that are regarded as superfluous. Cowries means a marine mollusk which has a glossy, brightly patterned domed cell with a long, narrow opening. Pamara means palm tree. Harikatha means story of Lord. In this, narrator asks the Shastri to take out all his tools to help solve whatever is going in Ranga's mind with full authority. Shastri took out his essential and told him that there is an ancient science, but he won't recite it now because then they both would get bored, but he doesn't intend on telling it some other time. Next paragraph. Shastri moved his lips fast as he counted on his fingers and then asked, "What is your star?" Ranga didn't know. "Never mind," Shastri indicated with a shake of his head. He did some more calculation before saying in a serious tone, "It's about a girl." I had been controlling my laughter all this while, but now I burst out laughing. I turned to Ranga. Exactly what I had said. "Who is the girl?" "It was your humble servant who asked the question." So here, what happened in this paragraph? I am explaining this. Shastri moved his lips while counting quickly and asked Ranga about his star which he didn't know. Shastri implied that it is manageable. He appeared to be doing a certain calculation. After a moment, he indicated that Ranga has a girl on her mind. Even after trying his best, Sham couldn't control his laughter. He thus posed the question to Shastri, asking about the details of the girl. Shastri thought for a while before replying. "She probably has the name of something found in the ocean. Kamla, maybe. Could it be Pachi? Moss? Must be a moss if not Kamla. Why not Pearl or Ratna, the precious stone?" "Ratna? The girl in Ramarao's house is Ratna. Tell me, is there any chance of negotiation bearing fruit?" "Definitely," he said. After thinking for some time, there was a surprise on Ranga's face and some happiness, I noticed. "But that girl is married." I said. Then I turned to him. His face had fallen. So here, what happens? Shastri thought and replied that the girl is likely to have a name of something found in the ocean. Their guesses include Kamla, Pachi, Moss, Pearl, and then suddenly Shastri said Ratna. "Pearl, Ratna, all of which came together now to a girl named Ratna, who is the niece of Ramarao. That's it. Ranga was thinking about her only. Ranga was both surprised and happy because Sastri's predictions were right. He immediately became disappointed when he recalled that she was married. So, next. I do not know all that. There may be some other girl who is suitable. I only told you about what our Shastra indicated. Sastri said, we left the place. On the way, we passed by Ramarao's house. Ratna was standing at the door. I went in alone and came out a minute later. So, in this paragraph, it says that Sastri said that he didn't know all that and there might be another suitable girl. To make it look real, Shastri inferred in their guessing name, and told them that he only told what can be read. Both of them left and crossed Ramarao's door while Shama went to see Ratna for a minute and came back. Surprising, moving to the next paragraph. Surprising, the girl isn't married, it seems. Someone told me the other day that she was. What Shastri told us has turned out to be true after all. But Rangappa, I can't believe that you have been thinking of her. Swear on the name of Madhavacharya and tell me, is it true what Shastri said? I do not know whether anyone else would have been direct. Ranga admitted, there is greater truth in that Shastra than we imagine. What he said is absolutely true. So Madhavacharya means an exponent of Vedic philosophy from South India. I repeat, Madhavacharya means what? An exponent of Vedanic philosophy from South India. So children, in this paragraph, when the it says that when the narrator comes back, he announces that fortunately Ratna is not married and someone might have wrongly conveyed to him about that. The narrator expresses his amazement at the fact that he has been thinking about Ratna and asks him to swear upon the truth. To his surprise, Ranga told him the truth, but whatever Shastri said is true. His belief in all the Shastras had strengthened. So next paragraph. Shastri was at the well when I went there that evening. I said, so Shastri Gale, you repeated everything I had taught you without giving rise to any suspicion. What a marvelous Shastra yours is. He didn't like it at all. What are you saying? What you said to me was what I could have found out myself from the Shastras. Don't forget I developed on the hints you had given me. Tell me, is this what a decent man says? Marvelous means yes, causing great wonder. Marvelous means what? Causing great wonder, extraordinary wonder. So here, Sham went to see Shastri that evening when he was near the well and remarked out about how well he did what Sham told him to do. Shastri seemed to not like what the narrator was saying. Thus, he says that whatever he said could very clearly be seen in the Shastras. He completely disagreed with having staged the entire conversation. So yeah, next moving to the next paragraph. Rangappa had come the other day to invite me for the dinner. What is the occasion? I asked. It's Sham's birthday. He is 3. Is not a niece named Sham. I said, I am like a dark niece of oil cake. Why did you have to give that golden child of yours such a name? What a childish couple you are, Ratna and you. I know. I know. It is the English custom of naming the child after someone you like. Your wife is 8 months pregnant now. Who is there to help your mother to cook? My sister has come with her. I went there for dinner. Sham rushed to me when I walked in and put his arms around my legs. I kissed him on his cheek and placed a ring on his tiny finger. So yeah, now the narrator takes us a few years forward where Ranga and Ratna are happily married. They happily married and they and had a 3-year-old son and Ratna was 8 months pregnant. Ratna's sister had come over to help them. It was Sham's birthday. Yes, the couple named their son after the narrator, as it is a common foreign tradition to name your child after someone you truly admire. When the narrator went there for dinner, Sham came running to him only to show his love by holding his leg. Narrator kissed him and gave him a ring. The last 3 lines of this lesson. Allow me to take leave of you, reader. I am always here, ready to serve you. You are not bored, I hope. So narrator says that at the ending note, narrator writes an ending note to all the readers, hoping that they were not bored by listening this story. I hope that it is a very interesting story. You have understood this. So this was the lesson. So let's do the recap of this lesson once more. So this story revolves around Ranga, the accountant's son, who got the opportunity to go out of the village to study. The narrator takes you to the journey where he changes Ranga's perception about marriage, how he staged their union with the help of Shastri, and what role English has played in their village. The entire story involves funny instances and references for the narrator has made sure your mind stays occupied with the story. Now we have seen that in the story begins with the news of his arrival, Ranga's arrival from Bangalore. Then at the news of his arrival, the villagers gathers at his home to analyze if he had changed or not and what is his perception about marriage. Everyone was so excited during those days. Not everyone used to get a chance to go to cities for studying. So narrator expects the readers to be questioning the simplicity of the title, Ranga's marriage. The title of this lesson is what? Ranga's marriage, and he expects the readers to be questioning the simplicity of the title, Ranga's marriage. He feels readers might be thinking of the fancier titles like Ranganatha Vivaha or Ranganatha Vijaya or Girija Kalyana. But he clarifies that although he had options of keeping such elaborate names, the reason why he chose the basic and casual one is because the story is about our Ranga, as in someone who is very close and dear to him. They live in a village called Hosahali in Mysore. Not many people know of it. The narrator does not blame them because there is no trace of it in the geography books. Even the Englishmen have no idea about the place, but they are also not to blame because our citizens too are completely ignorant about his village. He refers to the people as sheep who blindly follow each other and do not use their logic or brain to justify or invent things. At last, he feels the cartographer, means what? Who makes or produces maps. Uh, and he At last he feels the cartographer is not to be held responsible. As a result, there is no trace of their village on the map. Then narrator feels apologetic for getting carried away and deviating from the topic. He then again throws light upon the significance of the village Hosahali. He says that it is just as important as Mysore is to India. Karinga Dabu is to a festive meal that feeling to Karinga Dabu. Thus, he cannot highlight its importance anymore. Not only him, but the doctor named Gundabata feels the same. The doctor has also been to many places except England, but he still loves Hosahali. However, an outsider might contest this, but the narrator claims to stick to his opinion of the place. He then tells the readers about their special mango tree in the village, whose mangoes are famous for their special quality. He once took the fruit at home to make chutney and everyone suffered from a bad cough after eating it. It was only when he went to see the doctor he then that he told him uh, about the quality of the mangoes of Hosahali. The narrator asks the reader to take a bite and assures that the soreness of the mango will be felt by them till the top of their head. Then, not only the mangoes, everything in and around his village is remarkable. The creeper growing in the pond and its flowers are also special. One can even serve an afternoon meal on its leaves. All you need is to grab 2 leaves when you are on the way to the pond to bathe. After speaking highly of his village, the narrator says if anyone wishes to see for herself, one must contact him. He will help them to reach there. Also, he feels that there is no better way to know a place than to visit it. The narrator then brings about a comparison as to how things were different 10 years ago when not many people knew or spoke English. Neither did people send their children to big cities like Bangalore to study. Back then, only the village accountant had the courage to send his son to Bangalore. According to the author, those times were simpler. He justifies his claim by telling an incident where he was at Ramarao's house and they had just bought a bundle of firewood from an old lady. Rama told her to come next morning as he didn't have any change at the moment. The poor old lady didn't know what change meant and she went away whispering to herself. Neither did the narrator know its meaning. It was only when he went to Ranga's house that he told him. However, 10 years ago, English was not commonly spoken in this village. When the villagers came to know that Ranga, the village acquaintance, was coming home from Bangalore, everyone got excited and rushed to his home to have a glance at him. Fascinated by all the crowd, the narrator too went there and asked people as to why they were gathered because he couldn't see anything entertaining happening there like a monkey performing. A boy without brains shouted loud enough for everyone to hear and in a rude way. Narrator called him immature. Then what happened? All the people were waiting outside Ranga's house because the place would look like the Black Hole of Calcutta. If they all went inside by saying this, narrator means that there were so many people that the house would have fallen short to accommodate them all. Thus, Ranga came outside with a smile on his face. Everyone was so amazed to see that Ranga had not changed a bit after he left 6 months ago. Anne already even went to the extent of running her hands through his chest to check for the sacred thread. However, she went away after confirming that he had not forgotten about his caste. Once the villagers realized that Ranga did not change even after moving to the city, they disappeared as fast as a lump of sugar does in a child's mouth. The narrator waited till the crowd cleared and asked him about his well-being. Ranga noticed him and replied with a full respect in a traditional way. Ranga had not noticed the narrator in the crowd before that moment. Ranga was very well behaved and well aware as to what could benefit him. He was one of those who could analyze someone's worth rightfully. For how he greeted the narrator, he bent low and touched his feet, thereby seeking his blessings. It was not the present day namaskara where children would do it casually. It was a proper traditional one. Narrator blessed him that he might get married soon and then left. That afternoon, Ranga visited the author with a few oranges which the narrator thought was quite thoughtful of him. Thinking of how nice Ranga is, the author thought it would be a good deed to have him married to a girl just as nice as him. They chatted for a while and then the narrator asked Ranga about his views on getting married. Ranga expresses that he does not intend on marrying now because he intends on finding the right girl. He cites the example of an officer who got married at the age of 30 to a woman aged 25. Now, since these are both adults, they would understand each other's actions and behavior. Whereas, suppose the narrator finds a girl who is very young. She could misunderstood his words or actions because she is not mature enough. He even mentioned the love stories of Shakuntala and that he could not fall in love with Shakuntala if she were too young. In that case, the Kalidasa plays also would not have existed. That is why he intends on staying a bachelor till he finds the right girl. Here the narrator introduced us to a new character in the story named Ratna. She is 11 years old and is Ramarau's niece. She had lost both her parents, so her uncle brought her from the big town to his home with him. She had a great voice and could play harmonium and veena. The narrator thought that the Ranga and Ratna would make a great pair. Ratna was quite familiar with the narrator as he visited Rama's place frequently. Narrator thought of a plan to introduce Ratna to Ranga. He asked Rama to send Ratna to his place as he wanted to send some buttermilk for them. She came all dressed up. The narrator insisted upon to sing a song while he sent someone to call Ranga. Just as she was singing, Ranga arrived at the door. Her melancholic voice touched his ears and thus he did not want to interrupt the singing, so he stood at the door. He was so curious to see the singer and very cautiously he tried to have a look which disturbed the lighting in the room. On seeing a stranger, Ratna immediately stopped her singing. So, After that, Ranga has already made arrangement with the astrologer, and everything was pre-planned. So astrologer asked Sastri the questions to Ranga, which helps him admit the fact that he likes Ratna. The problem of her marriage was at the head. Nonetheless, the astrologer tells Ranga that he is in love with a girl whose name resembles Ratna. Upon hearing this, Ranga gets very happy and sad again because she is not available. Thus, upon confirmation that Ranga loves Ratna, he decides to set up their marriage. The narrator goes to Ratna's house to ask her hand in marriage for Ranga. And finally, the story fast forward to 10 years later. Ranga is visiting the narrators to his son's third birthday. We learned that Ranga and Ratna got married, and Ranga named their son after the narrator, Shah, who made the marriage happen. So this was the story. And the conclusion of this Ranga's marriage, this lesson, is to sum up Ranga's marriage summary. We learned about the beauty of the quaint village. Quaint village means what? Typical village. Quaint means what? Quaint. Quaint village means what? Typical village, and its customs, traditions, plus it highlights the struggle to preserve our culture against westernization. Okay, what is the conclusion of Ranga's marriage is that we learned that the beauty of quaint village and its customs and traditions, plus it highlights the struggle to preserve our culture against westernization. So that's all for now. Until the next video, keep watching, keep practicing. Have a good day. Bye from me.